Hello and welcome to this video which shows you how to use the drawing tablets along with the software which is called Autodesk Sketchbook Pro. So first of all, you need to go and get your feedback book with a pen because you're going to need to write some notes. You need to make sure that the volume's up, that you can pay attention and that you're ready to go. So pause the video here, go and get your feedback book. Okay, now you've got your feedback book, you need to write the title on there of Sketchbook Pro and Drawing Tablet. When you write your notes, please make sure that you write them detailed, that you write them clearly, so that when you look at this again in however many months' time it is before you use it again, you can read your notes and you can remember what to do. So, let's get into it. Now pick up your pen from your drawing tablet and hover it over the rectangle in the middle. Hover it over, but don't actually tap down, and you'll see that it moves. When you tap, it's classed as a left click on your mouse button. So what you're doing is you are tapping down every time you want to left click something. If you are doing something where you're holding the mouse button down, you press it down and you select, you have to press it down onto the tablet, and whilst it's pressing down you can drag and select an area. So bearing that in mind, I'm going to hover my mouse over and then you're going to click this button here by tapping down, and you go to Technology and Autodesk, and you want to go down to Autodesk Sketchbook Pro. So you click that by tapping down and it opens up. The first thing that you're going to do is you go to File, Save As, and you're going to go to your home area and you're going to find your DT folder, wherever that is for you. For me it's here, so this is tricky, this bit. Now you hover your mouse over the tablet and you double tap it down, and that's classed as a double click. So you have to double tap it down in quick succession. Now where people go wrong with this is they hold it down for too long and it thinks that it's trying to select an area, but you don't. You have to double click on it, so double tap and you get into it. I'm going to change it here to a JPEG, and you want to give it the name, your name. Right, so I'll put my name in. Oh, I should probably put Mr, shouldn't I? And then you're going to say Sketchbook testing, because that's what we're doing. We're doing some testing, and it's saved. I'm going to save it to the highest possible quality. I'm going to click OK. There it is. It's saved up there. So I'm not going to tell you everything about this because there's no way you'll remember everything. You need to just know the basics and then have a little bit of a play about. So I'm going to teach you the key things. So first of all, the important things that you're going to want to know are the things that are mainly along here and down here. So you've got here, if you hold your pen over the tablet but don't tap it down, it tells you about the different types of finishes that you can get here. So for example, you can if you click pencil and it looks like a pencil mark. If you click airbrush, it'll look like it's been airbrushed, and so on. So the first thing you're going to do is have a little bit of a play about with all of these different effects. So paintbrush there, felt tip pen, and a felt pen. Right, now, so now we know that they're there. The next thing is actually changing them. So if you hover your mouse over this grey box here and you press down and hold, so you're pressing down and hold, and you can actually, if you move from left to right, it makes it bigger. Tap, drag it down, it makes it smaller. So that's how you change the size of whatever it is that you're drawing with. If you want to change the colour, tap the black here and then just choose whatever colour you want. So that's step one. That's how you select the different things that you want to draw with. If you want to edit them, so for example, your pencil, you double tap it and it brings up an option for you to change how thick the pencil is. If you want to change the airbrush, you double tap that and you can change the flow, which makes it thicker, or you can reduce it and it makes it lower. Things like the paintbrush, double tap that, change the size of the paintbrush, but you can actually make the paint a bit more see-through by lowering the opacity as well. Okay, so that's number one. That's how you choose the different tools that you can draw with. If you're going to remove stuff, you can either use the hard eraser or the soft eraser. So just have a little bit of a play about with those. So you can see the hard eraser just removes a firm line and soft eraser just takes it off lightly. Double tap it and it'll allow you to change the settings yet again. So that's for adding stuff here, that's for removing stuff here. Other key things that it is worth you knowing, you can rotate the canvas, it's called. Now if I've got a piece of paper, I like to turn the piece of paper around so I can draw from different angles and what have you. You can do the same, but you have to press down the space key, so the space bar, and I'm not actually tapping anywhere with the mouse. I've just got it hovering over the tablet. You see this one here, if you tap down and hold with that, tap down, you can rotate your canvas. So for example, if you want to do a let's say I don't want to do a bit of a marker and I want to draw a curve, and then I hold the space button and then tap and drag it around, do that a bit more. Whoops, wrong one. Okay, so I'll put it back. Using the space button as well, you can tap the magnifying glass and you can zoom in and zoom out. So that can be quite handy when you want to add some detail. If you want to move the canvas, you hover your space key down and you press left and right. So that's quite useful. So your space bar is all about moving the canvas, zooming in and rotating it. So there we go. So we've covered how to add, how to remove and how to turn the canvas around. So they are the key things that you need to know. You have got more shortcuts down here that you can use. So for example, you've got here basically the same things as what you have over here, and this is another way of you bringing up colours. You know, there's other tools that you can play about with that you can become a bit more experienced when you become a bit more experienced. But excuse me, I should have put my phone on silent, sorry about that. So next thing that I want to show you is something that's really useful, especially if you are getting one of your sketches. So I'm going to just create a new canvas, and if you go onto Google and say I want to do a different version of a Mondrian lamp, so I type in Mondrian lamp, I click on the lamp, and there it is there. Now on your pen there's like a little switch near where your fingers are, that's your right click. So if you press the switch and you go down to copy image, now remember my left click is the tap, so I'm going to tap that, and then when you go back into Sketchbook Pro, if you hold Control and press V, it pastes it there. So that's fantastic. So we've got it pasted, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually draw over it. But if I draw onto this layer, so say for example I get my pencil and I draw onto this layer and then I save it as a JPEG, what you've got is that in the background with you drawing over it. There are situations, I'll just undo that, there are situations where that might be useful, just drawing straight over an image, but more often than not you'll want your sketch on a separate layer. So this is what we do. Up here you click on layers, and at the moment our Mondrian lamp is on this layer. So I'm going to select a new layer that I can sketch onto. So whatever you sketch, it'll be on this layer here. Can you see it showing up there? And if you click the eye, you can't see it. Same goes for your lamp. You can get rid of your lamp by clicking that. So if you do your sketch over the top of it, when you go to File, Save As, and you save it, it'll look like you've just sketched that yourself, when in actual fact what you've done is you've traced it. So let's get rid of this pen here. Now you can either choose to do it manually by selecting the eraser, or we can try and use the select tool. Here it is, select tool, and we can select it and then just press delete and it gets rid of the whole thing. Now before I sketch it, I think I want to make that lamp a bit bigger, so I click back onto the lamp layer, and I'm going to reduce the opacity of it so it's not quite as obvious. And then we're going to figure out how to actually make this bigger. Okay, so to make it bigger, it's exactly the same as any other program really. You have to select, so use the select tool and you're going to highlight it, and once you've highlighted it, this pops up. Now I'm not pressing my pen down on the tablet. What's happening is, it's when I hover my mouse over it, it's giving me the option saying, right, well, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to move it? So if I tap that, I can move it. Do you want to rotate it by tapping and using that one? No, I don't want to rotate it. Just put it back to where it was. A bit tricky. Or do you want to enlarge it or make it smaller by using this? Well, I'm going to enlarge it. So there we go. So I'm going back onto the layer that I'm going to sketch on now, and I'm going to choose a pencil. I'm going to go for about a 2B, and I'm going to choose blue. For me, I like to rotate the canvas around, and so say I want to change the shape of this. So a good thing is that if you draw a line that you're not happy with, you can always hold Control and press Z. Now what I'm finding is that pencil is a bit too harsh for me. I think I want something which is not quite as harsh. So let's have a look and see what I can use. No, the marker is a bit too harsh as well. Let's try a felt pen. No, I'm not going to do that. Let's go with the airbrush. Just make it a little bit there. I think that'll be a nicer effect. But say I just want to do a slightly different shape on this. turn that around a bit. So I'm not talking much while I'm doing this, just because there's nothing I need to tell you on this except, you know, what you're seeing. Now, when I designed in industry, this program was used by literally every one of the designers, everyone. So for people who are designing games, for people who are designing cars, for people who are designing products, for people who are designing fashion, you know, they are using this software because it gives you such a good finish, and you can rub things out and adjust things so quickly and so easily. So I'm just trying to make this as quick as possible. Right. Okay, so say I want to change the shape of this and develop the shape to something like that. Now I've got all these bits that are hanging over the edge, so I'm going to use the eraser and I'm going to get rid of some of these, and just take your time with it. I'm just going to pause this. Right, so I've used the eraser and I've went around the edges. Your next step would be to put the Mondrian squares on. So I'm going to add a new layer for that. You could use a pencil for this, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You just draw your lines over, and then you're going to add some colour into the boxes. So I'm going to pause it quickly while I draw the lines over. Okay, so that's the lines drawn over. For the next bit, I like to add colour, and you can do that either by using the airbrush or the marker or the paintbrush, and you do it in the same way. So just first of all, set up your settings and play about with your settings, and then you want to set a new layer. So say I'm going to do the black layers first, then we just do this. So let's make the brush a bit bigger. And then a bit smaller for this bit here. And then it's a case of deleting off the bits that you've overrun with, and then switch it around. Whoops. Okay, so there's my black one there, and when you want to add tone to it, you literally just go over the darker bits again, and then obviously you'll need to rub them out again. Okay, so I'm going to add colour to all of these and show you what it looks like. So I'll pause it here for me. Right, so there's the black done. Now you need to add a new layer each time you do a different colour, so they don't overlap with each other. So a new layer, then I'm going to do the red bit. So paintbrush, and then, oh, wrong one. And then red. And then I'm going to paint that in and paint that in, and then rub them out. That's that done. Add a new layer and do it for the yellow bits. and then another new layer for the bit on the bottom, and you'll see that I've applied the colour, and I'm going to go onto the colour here and make it a little bit darker, and then just go down the edge, and that gives you your tone. It's not like when you go over with a physical marker and the more times you go over it gets darker. You have to actually, you know, adjust the depth of the colour on here. So I'll rub that out with the eraser. There we go. Now looking at this now, and I think I need a little bit more tone, so I'm going to go back onto this red layer. Now I can't remember exactly what red I had there, so if I click the paint dropper tool and tap it, it tells me. So I'm going to go a bit darker, get the paintbrush and go around these edges here. And then I'm going to get the eraser and rub those off. Now one last step, I want to add some highlights onto it. If you get the paintbrush and you choose white, now let's try this and see what happens. You can just do a quick across like that, and it gives you the impression that it's reflecting. I'm going to obviously have to get the eraser and rub these bits off where I've gone over, but we're getting there with it. Right, nearly there. There's one last thing that I want to do before I save it, and that is where you've actually got your blue sketch from earlier. If we click this button here and you drag it to the top, so we're going to have to do this in bits, it pops it onto the top and it looks so much better. So we'll drag that up to the top. There we go. And what you've got there now is a slightly modified version of the original sketch. Now it takes a bit of getting used to, this tablet and this software, but once you've nailed that, it's really powerful and it's a really quick way of actually adjusting your work, improving it, developing it. One last thing that I'll mention is you don't necessarily just have to use a picture with this. What you could do, and this is a really, really good, really useful, really powerful tip, is you could actually have a normal sketch. So you could, you know, just have a pencil sketch, say. It could be of a, I don't know, I'll type in product and see what comes up. Right, so you could have, say you want to do a new version of an earbud. Say that's what you're drawing and you're designing. What you would do is you would copy and then paste onto here. So imagine this is a new sketch. Right, and there it is. And then you add all your layers on the top and you sketch over it in just the same way that I've just done. Right, so I'll show you what I mean. So, I don't know, just for argument's sake, say you were designing a new earbud, so you've taken a photograph of your sketch and put it on here. Then what you would do is you'd add your new layers, and if you wanted to develop it, obviously you'd lower the opacity. If you want to develop it, you would basically be, you know, sketching over it and doing all of the same things that I've shown you how to do with the Mondrian sketch before. So you can overlay pictures, you can overlay sketches, you can overlay all sorts of things, and it's a really, really good way of tracing anything to produce a new sketch. Okay, so once you've finished your sketch, whether you've overlaid a picture or whether you've overlaid an actual sketch, what happens is when you save it, so there we go, let's save that in here, high quality. You go to your picture in your DT area, double tap in, and what should come up is your sketch. There it is, there you go. Okay, now before you close this, if you ever want to come back to this, then you need to have all these layers saved, and the layers will only save if you save it as a TIFF file. So you know, your TIFF file is like your working file. It keeps all your layers for you, so if you ever open it, you want to change anything about this sketch, so say you came back to it next week and actually you didn't like the red there, you wanted pink there or white there, then all of your layers would be there, and you would just have to delete the red layer and add in a pink layer. You have to make sure that you've got the TIFF layer selected for that. Now this is quite a long video, thanks for sticking with it. I'll give it a good go and have some fun with it.